we start off with us Sad the Evil from 1978. And it's pretty simple plot. This doctor buys sort of a dilapidated mansion, and he's going to use it for like a drug rehab type facility. So he invites some friends over so they can clean it out. But some supernatural things start happening, and oh my god, it might be haunted. So that is the evil. It's it's a movie I wish I liked more than I do. I like the idea behind it, but I don't think the final product is really that great. But before I get into it, what were your genre thoughts on this one?
Mm. Well, I first watched the trailer for it before I watched the movie, and the trailer actually had me thinking this was going to be a fairly decent movie. It looked like it had some potential. And then I watched it. In fact, I tried to watch this like 3 or 4 times, and every single time it failed to hold my interest. I'd watch the whole thing, but eventually, as time goes by, I'd start looking down at my laptop, and
It's a very, very tedious movie.
I mean, there's things that happen in the movie, but there's these long periods of just these characters which I don't really care for. They're just all having conversations back and forth. One guy thinks there's a scientific reason for all the shit that's happening, and then, she's trying to convince him it's something else, and there's one moment in the movie where a dude's doing this hanging prank. I mean, that was kind of amusing, but that's all I can really highlight from the movie.
Yeah, I think so I've seen this movie once before many years ago, and the only thing I remembered about this movie was the Sablade scene, which I still think is probably one of the few standout sequences in the movie. It's just a very short thing where this guy gets his hand cut by a Sablade, but aside from that, there's not that much going for this.
I mean, there's things happening. There's people getting electrocuted and burnt to death, and we've got this dog going crazy at the start, and some woman looks like she's about to get raped by a ghost, and there's things happening, but it's still, even though there's all these things happening, it still felt like a bit of a dull movie. I don't know, it just bored me. I couldn't get into it at all.
Yeah, and it's disappointing because like in the '60s, there were some pretty decent like haunted house type movies. Obviously from 1963, there's The Haunting, which even that movie has like it feels dry at times, but this one, it feels like it could be so much more than what it is. And it has like okay reviews, but I can't imagine there's that many people who watch this and think, hey, they nailed it. That's what a '70s haunted house movie should be. I mean, like, if you're just picking a random movie to watch, it might be okay, but it's really not that much here that I would recommend. I mean, I sort of like the ending. It's a bit like over the top, cheesy, corny, but it's probably it's at least okay. It picks up a bit at the end, but getting there, I think, is a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, to be honest, I have nothing else.
If the yes, it's a movie, so.
It is a movie, yes. It looks like it has a half decent production. I mean, it's not like they didn't really have the resources to make a somewhat decent movie. So
Yeah, that's what's somewhat disappointing because I actually think the setting, the mansion, I think it looks pretty decent. If they just had a better story or maybe but yeah, some okay pacing, the movie might have been a bit more worth watching. I don't remember exactly what I thought about this one when I first saw it, but I can't imagine I was much enthralled with it. So I just there's not much in this movie I would imagine it's worth recommending. It has some okay actors like Richard Crenna is somewhat big name. Worth noting he was also in Death Ship, which was also a really dry, tedious movie. So it's fun.
It might be a bit of a pattern there.
Yeah, so yeah, like Chucky is pretty much correct. There's just a lot of talking in this movie, and there's some action, but not much of the action is really all that notable. it's like a few suspenseful scenes. One where this guy's trying to climb out of a window and escape the haunted house. It's a decent scene, but it lacks a punch or something. It's not much here, so I'm just going to throw this movie a 5.5, and I'll probably round that down to a 5 out of 10. I wish I could like it more, but I just can't.
Mm. I'm going to give it a 3. 3 out of 10 all up in this bitch. Yeah, those electrocution scenes, they were quality. Just, yeah. Some of they had some good effects, not so great effects, and yeah, like I said, it just failed to hold my interest, and I don't need to see this again. I've watched it like 3 times in 1 week, technically.
Fourth time's a charm.
It's not getting to a 4th time. I'm
I,
done
I
with
mean,
this one.
I guess I do have to point out there is a Victor Buono in the movie, and if you're familiar with the 1960s Batman series, he was the guy who played King Tut, and he's also been in some other classic horror movies, such as Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and The Strangler from '64. So his scene is sort of worth seeing, but don't go into the movie hoping that he's the main star because he doesn't really appear until like the last 15 minutes.